D-Day, 80 years later. How have we changed as a society as we commemorate that iconic World War II invasion? You're watching BS3 Presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Well, good morning, Shifter. It is Thursday, June the 6th, 2024, and welcome to BS3 Presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I am your wonderful host, Cole Johnson, and for the next 60 minutes, sit back and relax as we get you and keep you. You see, informed, educated, enlightened, entertained, and even spiritually fed. And on today's program, we're going to touch on D-Day, the iconic World War II invasion, and how has it impacted the U.S. since then? We will also touch on Patt Sajak and, well, his swan song's coming up very soon. In fact, Friday will be his last time that he will host Wheel of Fortune. And laughter. How good is it really? That is what's on tap for the rest of the show, but let's get you started up right now. And here's what's taking place in the world today. Testimony in Hunter Biden's felony gun trial continued to take a highly personal tone on Wednesday as both his ex-wife and former girlfriend, she decided to get a little personal. And they talked about his struggles with crack at federal court in Wilmington. Wednesday was the second day of the trial, and the first day, jury heard statements from both those who were close to Biden. First, it was Kathleen Boulay, who that is his ex-wife and mother of his three children. Now, she was called to the witness stand and testified about Hunter Biden's struggles with alcohol addiction and the discovery that he was using crack. Then Zoe Castan, his former girlfriend, she took jurors through her year-long relationship with the president's son that began at the New York City's Gentlemen's Club, his drug use, as well as his failed attempts to cast aside addiction. More of the same is to come today. Actor Wendell Pierce is known for his roles in television hits, including The Wire and Jack Ryan. Well, he's claiming that his application for an apartment in New York, was denied allegedly due to his race. He says, quote, "Even with my proof of employment, bank statements, and real estate holdings, a white apartment owner denied my application to rent the apartment. In Harlem, of all places. Racism and bigots are real. There are those who will do anything to destroy life's journey for Black folks. And when you deny our personal experiences, you're as vile and despicable." Close quote. Now, for those who don't understand, Harlem is a neighborhood in the northern part of Manhattan and is famous for its rich African-American heritage. And more than a century ago, it marked sort of a cultural explosion of sorts of arts, politics, and culture. And of course, comes to my mind right now is Langston Hughes and his rich poems emanated from there. Before Donald Trump was the first former president and presumptive major party nominee for this year to be convicted of a crime, he argued that a candidate who faced possible indictment shouldn't be allowed to run for president. The year was 2016, and Trump, then the Republican nominee, was trying to capitalize on the Department of Justice investigation of his Democratic opponent, Hillary Clinton. Now, if Clinton were charged criminally and became president, he warned it would, quote, create an unprecedented constitutional crisis, close quote. and he would allege that it would slow government to a halt. Well, fast forward 8 years later, after his own conviction of 34 felonies, Trump has shown no signs of dropping out, issuing defiant statements and bragging that his phase of fundraising spiked in wake of his conviction. Speaking of Washington, with Congress in gridlock and his re-election in question, President Joe Biden is leaning on executive powers to curb migration, and his administration has insisted he did not have. Biden said that he was driven to action by a worldwide migrant crisis that could result in an unlimited number of people trying to enter the country. Quote, "The goodwill of the American people is wearing thin right now. Doing nothing is not an option. We have to act," close quote. From that East Room directive and address, Biden issued a directive Tuesday that compelled the U.S. to turn away migrants who do not enter the country through legal ports of entry anytime unlawful crossings hit an average of 2,500 people per day in a given week. The temporary measures take effect immediately and will remain in place until crossings dip below an average of 1,500 people a day. Strong thunderstorms barreled across central and eastern U.S. on Wednesday, reportedly claiming the life of a young child, triggering flood advisories and a series of travel delays, while a heat dome baked California's Central Valley and other parts of the West and southern Texas. Separate storms were set to roll over the Midwest, Lower Plains, Ohio Valley, and the Mid-Atlantic region throughout the day and into the night, according to the National Weather Service's Storm Prediction Center. By the morning, flash flood warnings were in effect still across parts of north central Texas and northwestern Louisiana, as well as New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Philadelphia. In praise of those who were in the tornado that touched down near D.C. in central Maryland. A lucky lottery player in Illinois has won the $560 million Mega Millions jackpot. One ticket sold in Illinois matched all 6 numbers Tuesday night, according to the Mega Millions website. The jackpot had been rolling since it was last won in New Jersey back in March. The winner of that drawing won $1.128 billion, the 5th largest Mega Millions jackpot ever. The winning ticket was purchased online through the Illinois Lottery, according to the lottery website. It is the 15th time the Mega Millions has been won in Illinois. The estimated $560 million jackpot is the 9th largest in Mega Millions history, according to its website. And the winner can also choose the cash option, estimated at $264 million. During a special 30th anniversary cast reunion of the Sister Act 2 Back in the Habit cast on The View, actor David Cater recalled how Whoopi Goldberg made sure that the film's young stars got to celebrate their high school graduations during the movie's production. But on The View, the stars came together for a performance of Oh Happy Day with Goldberg in full nun habit and veil. She had tears in her eyes as the performance ended, getting emotional as the cameras panned to her. A third installment of the series, Sister Act 3, Kicking the Habit, has been announced and is set to star Goldberg, Bette Miller, and Keke Palmer, according to IMDb. If you're on the hunt for new bedding that will help you achieve the sound, peaceful sleep that we're all searching for, you're probably wondering what is the best thread count for your bed sheets. Well, an expert said as for choosing the right material for your bed sheets, linen and cotton, which are made from natural fibers, are typically more breathable than polyester, which is a synthetic microfiber. Similarly, Pima and Egyptian cotton, which are long staple fibers, this expert said, quote, will have a smooth feel and be durable because of the length of the components that make up each thread, close quote. But experts say just do your own research and get comfortable with what is good for you. In sports, it's Kristaps Porzingis returning to Dallas, but before then, it's Kyrie Irving returning to Boston. The 2024 NBA Finals gets underway tonight in Boston. Tip-off of this and every game during the Finals begins at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers that will take place Saturday. In the world of tennis, Coco Gauff's rise in the women's rankings find her officially at number 2 in the world. Today, she meets world number 1 Iga Swiatek to see who will advance to the French Open finals. That will take place this match will take place today. The finals will take place on Saturday. Turning our attention to weather across the U.S. of A. and the Pacific Northwest, you have to deal with a little bit of sun, which I know that's a strange thing to say, and a high of 71 in Seattle. In the Midwest, it is windy and 69 in Minneapolis, windy and 79 in Chicago, sunny and 85 in St. Louis, rainy and 80 in Detroit. Over on the East Coast, it will be cloudy and 73 in Boston. Sun thunderstorm mix in New York with a high of 82. Sun thunderstorm mix a high of 84 in D.C. Down in the south, there'll be partly cloudy skies and 89 in Miami. A sun thunderstorm mix and a high of 85 in Atlanta. Sunny and 90 in Memphis. All the west stuff you can handle, 88 in New Orleans. In the southwest, it will be sunny and 100 in San Antonio, sunny and 96 in Dallas, partly cloudy and 96 in Houston. And over in the Rockies, it will be sunny and 91 in Denver. And in the desert, which will be the hot spot for the day, it will be mostly sunny and with a high of 111 in Phoenix. It'll be mostly sunny and 110 in Las Vegas. And over on the West Coast, it will be partly sunny with a high of 64 in the Bay Area. It will be partly sunny and 76 in the City of Angels. And that is it for weather, and that should get you properly started up. Coming up later, we will commemorate and talk about D-Day, the important day of the invasion that took place 80 years ago today. And laughter, how important is it? And is it truly medicine for you? But coming up next, Patt Sajak will bid adieu to the Wheel of Fortune this Friday. You tuned into The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. We'll be right back right after this.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube and where you can find podcasts.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BC Network. Glad that you have joined me, I should say, today, and I hope you're blessed, and I hope you're highly favored, Shifter. And my brother, the intellect, aka Eric Butler Sinley. It is good to see you. Good job on Is It Wednesday Yet last night. I look forward to seeing what you have offering for tonight with the perspective. It's a great day. Let's get it. You doggone right. It's a great day, and we definitely gonna get it. Many blessings to you, my friend. And Ryan McCarthy of No Critics Required fame. Good morning, fellow shifters. I will say to you the same. Good morning to you, the shifter that is from Albany, New York. I'm glad everything is good with you, sir. Now, now you probably say, well, why are you talking about, of all people, Patt Sajak? Well, he's adorned many homes over the past however many decades of Wheel of Fortune. And I know this personally because I've had to deal with having this happen for me whenever I would be watching with my grandmother. It was Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune every night, every evening, without fail. And yes, he graced our homes for so long. But he, Patt Sajak, is about to end hosting the show. And well, so what does that mean? Well, in today's Just My Thoughts, I'll touch on his ending of hosting Wheel of Fortune, and then I will also touch on how important he actually has been to our lives. So, of course, Patt Sajak is no spring chicken. He's 77 now, and he's going to be retiring officially Friday from the syndicated hangman-style puzzle game show Wheel of Fortune. And he's done it for over 4 decades, 41 seasons to be precise. And he has done over 8,000 episodes. And that holds the Guinness Book of World Records for longest running host on a game show. And he's done it since 1981. And since then, the dry-witted Sajak has helmed Wheel of Fortune with a star boost from co-host and vaunted letter turner Vanna White to massive global popularity. The curator of the Paley Center for Media, Ron Simon, had this to say about it, quote, "It's been an amazing run, no doubt about it. Patt has exuded good humor and fellowship, visiting America's home each weeknight for more than 4 decades. Patt and Vanna have become part of the family. It's the end of a game show era," close quote. The departing host has taped the farewell to the TV audience for Friday's show already, but Sajak afforded a farewell media tour, giving only exit interviews to his daughter, Maggie Sajak, who joined the show as its social correspondent back in 2021. Now, Sajak called his tenure awfully gratifying in that interview, and you could see that interview on the Wheel of Fortune media sites. Now, he went on with to say as well in telling his daughter during that interview, quote, "This was announced a long time ago, almost a year ago. So I've had time to sort of get used to it, and it's been a bit wistful and all that. I've been enjoying it, taking it all in and reflecting on the great run," close quote. Now, for those who don't know, he's an Army veteran, and he took a trip down memory lane, detailing a career that included a Vietnam War stint, working the morning show on Armed Forces Radio with the traditional greeting, "Good morning, Vietnam." Yes, the traditional "Good morning, Vietnam" that was popularized by Robin Williams of the same movie title. Now, how did he get his start? Well, Patt bounced around TV jobs from, well, where I live, Nashville, to LA back in the 70s. Now, while working as a witty weatherman on KNBC, Patt impressed game show impresario Merv Griffin. Of course, he created Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Griffin insisted that Sajak take over the NBC version of Wheel of Fortune after Chuck Woolery, who was the original host of the game show, pulled that out in the trivia game, left in 1981 because of a contract dispute. Griffin's choice came despite strong network objection, as his son Tony Griffin recalls in a 2010 interview. He says, quote, "My dad said contractually I can shut down the whole show unless you hired Patt Sajak, and they hired Patt Sajak the next day," close quote. Well, the then 35-year-old Sajak waltzed into the studios of Wheel of Fortune on December 28th, 1981, and he joined his then co-host Susan Stafford. And he started by saying, quote, "Please do not adjust your sets at home. Chuck Woolery has not shrunk. I've been fortunate enough to wander onto the set of a very successful program," close quote. And it was off and running after that. Now, all that seems to be pretty good, yet Sajak did not have big expectations for the low-rated show at the time. He was expecting his stint to last at the most 2 years. But the show started to gain steam and momentum. And then the very next year, Vanna White replaced Stafford. And in 1983, the show began its evening syndicated run on local stations and into many homes, now gracing my parents' home as I speak. And in that same interview, Pat says, quote, "And 41 years later, here I am. It's an odd road," close quote. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the game show, which I think most of you are, contestants frequent request to Sajak of "I'd like to buy a vowel" has become a part of the vernacular. Sajak went on to say, quote, "Somewhere along the line, we became more than a popular show. We became part of the popular culture," close quote. So much so that there was a video that, oh, I'm sorry, there was 2 videos that went viral as of last week because of what the show has amassed and become. And of course, well, when you have popularity, so comes parodies, such as such as South Park and Rugrats. The witty host became a big enough personality to host his own short-lived late-night CBS talk show back between January of 1989 and April of 1990. But in the internet era, Sajak accidentally created regular viral moments with his sometimes awkward guest introductions. The National Review contributor drew controversy by exposing his right-wing views and posting global warming denialist social media posts. However, with an annual salary estimated to be about $15 million by Forbes back in 2016, Sajak leaves Wheel of Fortune with his own sizable fortune. But he still is perplexed by the secret of the show's longevity, saying, quote, "If I knew, I'd be creating other shows with the same secret, and I'd be a wealthy man." Oh, that's right. I am. Oh, that's a joke, by the way. Close quote. Now, here is the $1 million question. Who is going to take over for him? Of course, the show will proceed. ABC's primetime celebrity Wheel of Fortune is plotting a return for a new season with the possibility that Sajak and White would co-host the show. Meanwhile, White will remain on Wheel of Fortune with Ryan Seacrest stepping in to Sajak's shoes in 3 months' time. The 49-year-old who hosts ABC's American Idol, he was only 7 when Sajak began the hosting of Wheel of Fortune. Now, the media mogul, who of course also was the co-producer of Keeping Up with the Kardashians for many years, said, quote, "I'm truly humbled to be stepping into the footsteps of the legendary Patt Sajak. I can't wait to continue the tradition of spinning the wheel and working alongside the great Vanna White," close quote. Now, I'm hoping that everything is fine with my grandmother, because I think she'll be missing the impact that Patt Sajak has had on American homes for the last 41 years. And hopefully, Mr. Sajak, you will enjoy your life and bring it and have as much joy that's come into your home as you have brought into many of ours. Have a great retirement, and I hope everything is fine with you, and I hope you have a long life after Wheel of Fortune. And those are simply just my thoughts. And when we come back, we will touch on D-Day. The anniversary is today. How has it impacted America then and now? You are watching The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. We will be right back right after this. This is a BS3 Network presentation. Adrian Shawan.
There was a man talking about where the homebodies at, where the women at, and the women was stitching it and was like, we at home.
Scotty Knox.
Another pet peeve of mine, right? First date, if you show up with the ponytail that come out at the top of your head, it will not be a second date.
Butler.
I want people to think independently and freely. She's not. $100 for lunch. I almost got up and walked off.
A show that asks only one question. Is it Wednesday yet? Live every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central.
See everybody talking like they doing what we doing, but these brothers just ran, they ain't moving like we moving, and everywhere we go.
Rams fans all around the world.
It's a beautiful thing to be a Rams fan right now. Stafford's back. We're going to see about Cup. And running back, Kerryon Williams. To return.
Lend me your ears, or should I say lend Playmaker your ears, as he breaks down week by week everything in the Los Angeles Rams canon.
Number 99, Aaron Donald. Can't wait for 2029 to come to know that you are going in the Hall of Fame, and it should be first ballot, no questions asked.
Join the Playmaker as he breaks down everything Los Angeles Rams style in Ramily Talk on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel and where you can find podcasts. Jay Caraway.
You got some that can't seem to put the phone down. The signs on the freeway now. Put it down, it can wait, whatever. You know, like, that's crazy to me.
CJ Boyd.
You have some adults that ain't got no sense, bro. The moment they feel attacked, they gonna handle you accordingly.
Brothers talking about real life issues. BS3 Network proudly presents Elevate live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Well, welcome back, Shifter, to the morning shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you are being blessed today, not with me, but by God putting life into you as he puts into me. I hope everything is good with you today. And I hope it continues to be and get better throughout the day. And speaking of things and people, hopefully making your day better. Today is an interesting day, and I put it in terms of interesting because whenever you have people who commit to your safety and your freedom, you have to put it in the proper perspective. And I'll probably say for almost all of us that are in in this Shift Nation, I think none of us have seen anybody who actually were in the invasion I'm about to talk about, or could even remember that day, simply because we weren't born yet. Now, we do maybe know a couple who have been born, but they weren't adults. They were probably children. But remembering that special day, 80 years ago today, the Normandy invasion, the invasion of the Northern France front during World War II, it is an interesting microcosm of freedom in one sense and possible not so much freedom in another. In today's cover story, we'll touch on, well, how big is the impact between then and now, D-Day. Now, June 6th, which is today of 2024, we commemorate June 6, 1944. Operation Overlord That's what it was officially called. The Allied invasion of Normandy in northern France took place today 80 years ago. It was considered then the largest amphibious military assault the world has ever seen. Amphibious, those who don't know, meaning something that takes place on water. And so they attacked a beach. If you weren't assured or aware of this, its success heralded the beginning of the end of World War II, which of course took place roughly 10 and a half months later. And yeah, I'll say about 10 and a half months later. The official end in Europe, the Europe theater, was May 8th, 1945. Now, of course, you had the bombings that took place in the summer in Japan of that year. An estimated 11,590 aircraft and 6,938 ships and landing craft were part of this assault. And as we observe the 80th anniversary of D-Day, here's a look at the significant events that led up to and during the invasion, starting at midnight on June 6, 1944. You had British Air Force bombing German coastal batteries, heavy artillery being used against ships and aircraft north of Seine. And from then till 2, you had 180 paratroopers from the British 6th Airborne Division land by gliders east of Sword Beach, and they seized 2 bridges across the Seine Canal. The first 15,500 paratroopers from the 82nd and one of the first U.S. Airborne, which they got popularized by this invasion, are dropped near Carentan. They battled German forces and clear exits for the U.S. infantry landing on Utah Beach. At 3 a.m., Allied minesweepers began clearing the waterways ahead of the invasion fleet, with about 15 minutes later, German radar detecting said fleet. And dawn broke about 5:20. 15 minutes later, German batteries began firing on the fleet. Allied ships began returning fire and bombarded the coastal defenses. Around 6:30, troops began landing on Utah and Omaha beaches, and about another hour later, troops began landing on Sword Beach. Around that same time, 2nd Ranger Battalion scales 100-foot cliffs at Pointe du Hoc and later captures 155 millimeter cannons from the Nazi German forces. 5 minutes later, you had troops that began landing at Gold Beach. About 25 minutes after that, at 8 a.m., you had troops landing at Juno Beach, when at 8:30, they also landed at Omaha Beach with tanks. Almost around 10, you had U.S. destroyers moving close to Omaha Beach and then beginning to shell German targets. When at 10:15, Allied naval shells were destroying vital German artillery at Colleville, Saulmer, and Pointe de la Pièce. Around 10:30, you had infantry continuing to land at Omaha and Utah beaches, and the assault was on. 11:10, you had the 101st Airborne and 4th Infantry troops link up at Poupeville. At noon, you had British paratroopers and commandos from Sword Beach link up at Orny Bridges. When at 12:30, you had Allied forces moving inland further. More than 18,000 U.S. soldiers had landed by that time. At 1, you had U.S. soldiers capture Vierville. At 2:15 p.m., you had German infantry prisoners being taken to Omaha Beach. And then we go out to 10:30 p.m., where British troops liberate the town of Enrache-les-Bains. And at midnight, you had all 5 beaches of Normandy declared secure. So in that 24-hour span, that is what took place in that dizzying day and that fateful day on the northern France beach of Normandy. Now, it wasn't all pretty because victory did come at a high price. You had more than 156,000 Allied troops who landed by sea in 5 beaches, codenamed Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword, were parachuted behind German defenses. Of those 156,000, almost 4,500 of them were killed on that day, and 5,800 were wounded or missing. The German casualties ranged between 4,000 and 8,000. And as we end the cover story, all I'll say is thank you to those troops that were on that day. And if you are surviving to this day, thank you for your service. And I'm glad that your sacrifice was not for naught. Coming up, laughter. How important is it for you, for me, and for everybody? This is The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. We'll be right back right after this.
Eric Butler, a.k.a.
The Intellect, a.k.a. Cullinan. I'm the biggest diamond ever found on land, a.k.a. The Atlantic. Cold, deep, and choppy.
LaToya the Therapist, a.k.a.
Them kids' mama, aka Jeff's wife, aka LaToya the Therapist. I am a licensed professional counselor.
Beauty and Brains, clinical and principled, insightful and intelligent. BS3 Network proudly presents Perspective, live every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 Network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all. We ready. We ready.
The Lunch Break, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central.
Bruce Bernstein.
NBA people are the best people ever. Everything that I've ever wanted to do was always sort of pointed towards the NBA.
Daniel Jones, I don't listen, I wasn't sold on him in the beginning either.
Ben Sutter and Dan Quinn. Like, he may not be the greatest head coach, but one thing we do know is that he can coach defenses.
Mirren Fader.
If I did a biography on Hakeem Olajuwon, this is the first true international superstar.
Looking for the up-to-date information in the world of sports? The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. Live every Saturday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central.
Welcome back to welcome back. Lord have mercy. So many shows. Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. Cole Johnson here. And it's a blessing to do this. It's a blessing to be here. It's even a blessing to make mistakes. As you just heard, introducing another show. And it's also a blessing to have a brother like Ryan McCarthy who definitely gets it. He says, to those men and women who served on this day 80 years ago, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I can't say that much better. And my mind goes to my late step grandfather, who he served he wasn't on Normandy, but he did serve in World War II, and he told a lot of stories about that time. And he really loved that time period because I think it felt as though he felt a purpose and a sense of duty. And I profusely thanked him until he died, and I will always thank him for his service. And I thank those who did, and if those who are still alive, I thank you for what you did, because you died, or you got wounded, or you served so that we can be free today. And speaking of a Shift Nation participant, Shifter Cool McCain, my brother in broadcasting, says, Shift Nation, good morning. And it most certainly is a good morning. Good morning to you. And it was a pleasure to share the stage with you yesterday on Shooting Lights Out. It's a wonderful time every time we get together. And thank you, Playmaker, for providing that platform. Laughter. Now, we think of it in frivolous manners. We think of it in terms of, well, it's not the serious, stern thing like being serious and locked in. And normally if laughter comes at an inopportune time, then it's a sign that you're not taking whatever it is seriously. But should we take seriously if you aren't in a fit of laughter? And I'm not necessarily talking about just laughing off the cuff. I mean, actually enjoying life doing laughter. Well, that's what we're going to unearth right now in Lighting the Way. Normally, when you see laughter, it is a sign that everything is good, normally. But sometimes we try to mask things with laughter, try to mask hurt and try to mask pain with it. We try to mask disappointment. But when it comes from deep within your spirit, that is where it really is good. Because laughter is truly something that makes you feel really good. Solomon talks about it, of course, in one of his myriad of wise things that he said and wise writings that he put forth. And all you have to do is just go into the book of Proverbs and you'll find it. 17th chapter, 22nd verse. And he said about laughter, he says, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Now, of course, translated again, it says laughter does give you good medicine. So you already see the link right there. Laughter equals a joyful heart. And if you understand that, you would want to tap into having more laughter in your life, meaning having more joy in your life, meaning get good things into your life, meaning get more positive things into your life. Now, can it be hard to do that? Yeah, it could. But it could be hard because it's something that is a mental block for you. And it was one for me for a long time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I didn't think life was all that good at times, at many times in my life. But when I stumbled upon, and I really do mean stumble, upon this scripture years ago, I had to understand, wait a minute. So you mean when I laugh, like I did to begin this segment, this meditation period, I actually felt immediately better? You mean that is what laughter is supposed to do? Wow, okay. So yes, always make that correlation, and laughter equals joy, and it equals good medicine for you. Oh, and speaking of joy, well, if laughter equals joy, and if you have a joyful heart, guess what you're reflecting? Guess what you're a mirror? Guess what your heart is a mirror of? It's a mirror of Jesus. Oh, you don't believe me? There's scripture that backs me up, where it says that the joy of the Lord is your strength. So if you reflect joy in your heart, you're reflecting strength. You're reflecting the joy of the Lord. And it gives strength a new understanding. Strength normally comes when you're stern and you're trying to lift something that's heavy, and of course those who played athletics, you do know that. You understand that you have to be serious, and you get your game face on, and you can't play around. And if you do show that type of jovial spirit, sometimes it could be taken for disrespect. That theater aside, because I did play in athletics too, offensive lineman, I totally understand it. When you reflect joy in your heart, you're reflecting a strength that is uncommon on this earth. I mean, it says it in the second part of this particular scripture. Crushed spirit dries up bones. How can I put this? Another way that you can term it: if you're depressed or you're dejected, or if you're sorrowful, or if you are sullen, things start to hurt. Because the buoyancy that joy gives you and laughter gives you, sadness puts weight on you. And it could physically put weight on you, yes. But I mean the mental, the emotional, the psychological weight. Think about when you're grieving. Think about when something that you wanted didn't come to pass and you had put all your hopes into it. Think about when you were disappointed as a child, because I know all of us have been disappointed as children at some point in juncture. You felt the world ended. You felt the weight of the world was on you. It was like what I've heard in the Fighting Temptations when Beyonce is saying, at once I felt like I was on top of the world, but the next time I felt like the world was on top of me. That is what the crushed spirit, drying up bones is. It's you've given in to the weight of depression, the weight of despair, the weight of sadness, because when you are sad, it is a weight. WEIGHT. And sometimes it's a weight that you feel as though you cannot bench press to get off. It's sometimes a weight that could just simply slow you down and put you into a sudden stop. And that's why having a joyful heart is massive for you, because it is a healing agent. Laughter is a healing agent. I could just in this start of this meditation, I could have been bogged down by being so blown out of my mind for making the wrong mistake of introducing another show, but I didn't. I laughed it off, and because of that, it set me on a better trajectory. It heals you. Laughter is healing. And I think about a George Clinton song, and not George Clinton, a Parliament song. George Clinton, of course, was the lead singer of it. And the song title escapes me. But he said, funk has the power not only to move, but to remove. Well, laughter has the power to move and to remove too. Has the power to move you, and the power to move me, and the power to remove all the sadness and dejection and rejection and depression. That's what laughter is. That's what joyful heart is. It is medicine for all of us. And if we sampled more of that medicine, I guarantee you, this world would not be as sick as it currently is. It would be much better for the short term and the long term. One last trip to Shift Nation before I head on. He says, look, same here, Bo or bro. And I love you, brother. I love you. And that's all the time I have for this episode of the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you for the comments. Thank you, Shift Nation, for the love in these comments and for the comments in the repeat. And thank you for hitting that notification bell so you can get all of the content that comes from the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. That's the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. For all of us at the BS3 Network and the Morning Shift, I am Cole Johnson here to say in parting, as I always do, if you lack commitment, you will never start. If you lack consistency, you will never finish. And if you lack love, you most certainly will never conquer. Don't lack love and don't lack laughter in your life. Until we meet again in 23 hours, have a great day, Shifter. Be blessed because you're a blessing. So long.